הפודקאסט בחסות דאטה מדיה, המלווה ומייעצת לחברות בארץ ובחול בנושא אימייל מרקטינג, עבירות אימיילים ובחירה והטמעה של מערכות דיוור.
CRM.Buzz, בלוג ופודקאסט בנושאי ניהול קשרי לקוחות, חוויית לקוח, שיווק, שימור לקוחות, טכנולוגיה ודאטה. מגיש סלע יופי.
It used to be back in the days where you can send billions of emails for free. Just whatever inbox. I mean, those days are gone. They are gone. Yeah. It's very sophisticated now, and you have to calculate for your business a lot more investment in deliverability for email program. Not talking about creating the content and all the other stuff you need to do, but you actually need to allocate a budget to deliverability for sure. I mean, there's no way around it.
אתם על CRM.Buzz. ועכשיו?
בוקר טוב לאדריאן וויליאמס, חבר וקולגה לתחום האווירות.
Thank you.
מנכ"ל אימייל אנג'לס. אנחנו מכירים משהו כמו 2 או 3, נדמה לי.
Yes.
ואני תמיד שואל את האורחים שלי, איך הם הגיעו לעסוק באימייל? איך אתה התחלת?
I started I think it was 2004, I started coding marketing pages. And then I think in 2008, we got this marketing automation platforms. I think the first one we started using was Infusionsoft. You know, and he did everything, right? And those were back in the days where you got hired and you were expected to do everything, right? If you're a marketing director, you did SEO, you did AdWords, you did emails, you did ads everywhere. You know, it was a mess, right? And then it became more and more specialized, of course, and things got harder and harder. And now, you know, you have niches within niches. You know, you have email marketing, but you have now a deliverability role within email marketing, right? Yeah. It's like it's getting crazy. So I think like 2008, then I just purely did marketing. And then around 2012, I decided like I have to make a decision where I'm going to focus my skill sets. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to be an AdWords guy. I'm going to be a Facebook guy. I'm going to be SEO. What am I going to be? And I decided like, you know what? The revenues are in email. When I looked at everything, the ROI in email was really high. So I made a conscious decision that I'm going to specialize in email. And I also thought that email was the easiest one of all the channels that was back then. Email is not as easy anymore, but back then it definitely was.
אני חושב שזה היה ב-2004, התחלתי אז כמקודד, כמתכנת, וב-2008 התחילו מערכות אוטומציה שיווקית. אני חושב שהראשונה הייתה Infusionsoft. הציפייה הייתה שאם אתה מתעסק בדיגיטל תעשה את הכל, כולל אימייל, SEO, AdWords וכו'. בהמשך הדברים הסתבכו, וכמו שאנחנו יודעים, היום יש נישות בתוך נישות, כמו למשל תפקיד יועצי העבירות בתוך אימייל מרקטינג. בסביבות 2012 הבנתי שאני צריך למצוא את הפוקוס שלי. ראיתי שה-ROI באימייל היה הכי גבוה, וגם נראה שהוא הערוץ שהכי קל להצליח בו, לפחות ככה זה היה אז. היום זה בכלל לא המצב.
I was the email marketer for Couchsurfing, and we built out their delivery platform in order to you know reach our recipients. It was like 6 million users that needed transactional emails every day, and then we needed to have a way to talk to them. So I think we used a software called Interspire that we put in our servers, and we decided, well, it doesn't send email fast enough. Like, what's going on? And you know, I think that point was the first time like I started to learn about deliverability, like because I was doing things hands-on. I was like, wow, there's such thing as inboxing. You know, it was never on my radar before. Yeah. And then I think like after there, I worked for the 5th largest publishing company in the world. Then not a lot of people don't know about this company. It's a French company. They own all the softwares out there. They selling Microsoft, Parallels, all kinds of software. So I was sitting with massive amount of emails sending out every day, like huge revenues. And I think like because of my experience with Couchsurfing, I focused on deliverability. And one of the first things I did was I took one of those like long templates they had, which is like, oh, this is the software product, that is what it does, and here's the sales price, and click here to buy kind of thing, right? It almost looks like a website when we send it out. So I just changed that. And I just thought, wow, this is probably going to inbox really well because it's heavy template and, and it's not stimulating people to click because they have to make a buying decision on the page itself. So nobody's clicking if they don't want to buy. So I thought let's get them to click and make a buying decision on the landing page. So I made this short little text-based thingy. I've been telling you, man, the revenues just went 3x, it was crazy. I mean, the revenue just because we went from 1% click-through rate, 8% click-through rate, because I had this bait. It was I think it was it was some kind of a photo clip software that kind of clipped away from the image. So I put the image there from the Eiffel Tower, and I basically said, "Oh, see how this is done? Click here." So kind of bait, and of course. Yeah. I mean, and the funny part about this is the owners of the company called me in on the red carpet. It's Adrian, you're trying to sabotage our company. What is this? You said you can't send this. We need graphic. We need traditional sort of marketing. And I said, well, how do you think about $160,000 plus this month? Zip, real quiet. And then and just left the office, and nobody said anything from there on. And then we started to change our emails from the point of deliverability where you're trying to get people to click, not to make a decision on the email itself. So the email is kind of the appetizer that makes them want the meal, sort of a thing. So it was a shift of how I started doing emailing. Yeah.
ב-2012 התחלתי לעבוד בחברה שהיו לה כ6 מיליון נמענים. היינו צריכים למצוא דרך לדבר אליהם במהירות. בנינו את הסרברים שלנו, את השרתים שלנו, ואז הבנתי שיש כזה דבר שקוראים לו אינבוקסינג. כך הנושא של עבירות, הפך להיות ההתמחות שלי. אחר כך עבדתי אצל אחד הפאבלישרים הכי גדולים בעולם, החברה שלך אינספור אימיילים, ובגלל הגישה שלי לנושא העבירות התחלתי לבדוק שם כל מיני דברים שהם לא רק טכנולוגיים. בין השאר את הטמפלטים שהחברה השתמשה בהם, שהיו לטעמי ארוכים, הם נראו כמו דפי מחירה אינסופיים. הטמפלט הזה לא היה מפתה בכלל, ומי שלא רצה לקנות לא יקליק על האימיילים. מה שעשיתי זה שלקחתי את הטמפלט וחשבתי שלא נכון שהחלטת הקנייה תתבצע באימייל עצמו. בעצם שיניתי את הטמפלט כך שיהיה יותר אטרקטיבי ויותר מפתה. המחירות שילשו את עצמן. באיזשהו שלב, מנכ"ל החברה קרא לי לסוג של שיחת נזיפה, בגלל ששיניתי את האימייל למשהו שהוא פחות קורפורייטי. אמרתי לו, מה דעתך על תוספת של $160,000 לחודש מהפעילות הזו? זה סיים את שיחת הנזיפה. כלומר, הגישה שלי מאז הייתה בעצם להפוך את האימייל לסוג של אפטייזר, סוג של מנה ראשונה שתגרה את התיאבון לאנשים שירצו לטעום את המנה העיקרית. רציתי שהחלטות הקנייה לא יתבצעו באימייל עצמו, כלומר השאיפה שלי שאנשים יקליקו על האימיילים, והחלטת הקנייה שלהם והמרות יתבצעו באתר עצמו. מערכות הדיוור ינסו למכור לך את החלום שאימייל מרקטינג הוא קל. האם לדעתך אימייל מרקטינג באמת קל?
Well, as long as you have competitor in the space, so easy means better than the guy behind you. I mean, it's or try to be better than the guy in front of you. It really depends. Easy or not easy. I mean, it's easy for us to have done it a long time and say, "Oh, this is easy. You just do this, that." But for someone who comes in, I think it's extremely hard. Some of the hard part is just understanding how the infrastructure works, because always the sales angles on all these platforms are always easy. You just do it for you, stuff like that, and la la la. And they're missing the most important thing. It is, does your user want your message? Are you sending the user at the right time? Are you sending it the right message to the right user? So those three things is the only thing that matters in marketing, and nothing of any bells and whistle will rectify that. So I think like people in marketing, I think when I started marketing, I was always about the tools and the whistles and the newest things and la la la. No, if you have an audience and they want your product, the channel doesn't really matter, and the feature doesn't really matter. You can sell. I always use this example. If you go to North Pole and you sell lemonade, cold lemonade, it doesn't matter how nice your booth is, your subject line, your stand, and the product. They don't want it. If you go to Santa Monica Beach, hot day, you're the only one there with cold lemonade. They don't care how crappy your booth look like. They're gonna buy. Yeah. And I think people get too caught up in the bells and the whistles, and I have the best cart, so I'm going to win the game. And you're trolling around in the North Pole. No, man, you're not going to get any sales. So I think that I think like people in any marketing is to take a step back and understand, who am I talking to? Do they need my product, and do I present myself well in front of these people? So people forget that, and there's no way that email marketing is going to fix that issue. If you're selling the wrong product to people who don't want you, you can do everything right. It's not going to work.
קלות היא עניין יחסי. עבור מישהו חדש שרק מתחיל בנושא אימייל מרקטינג, אני חושב שזה יהיה קשה. אני חושב שהחלק הכי קשה הוא להבין איך האינפרסטרקצ'ר עובד. הרבה מאוד מדברים מפספסים את הדבר הבסיסי הזה, השיווקי, שהוא משמעותי ובסיסי כאחד, וזה, האם הנמענים רוצים את הדיבורים שלנו? האם אנחנו שולחים את ההודעה הנכונה לנמען הנכון בזמן הנכון? אני תמיד נותן את הדוגמה של דוכן לימונדה. אם תיסע עם הלימונדה שלך אל הקוטב הצפוני, אף אחד לא יקנה את זה. לעומת זאת, על חוף הים ביום לוהט, זה יהיה להיט. המשחק בהרבה מקרים שמשווקים שוכחים אותו, הוא לא רק משחק טכנולוגי, הוא משחק שיווקי. רציתי לשאול אותך, איך אתה מגדיר את נושא האווירות? מהי אווירות, deliverability בעיניך?
Yeah, I think it was N.P. Mitchell that started to define the word deliverability, which I think will be defined as is your message reaching the user's inbox. One thing I would say though is that I think for the people listening, there is a divide in the industry about what deliverability is and how it's being used. That is a very important fact. For example, you have deliverability experts that comes from the ESP side and the regulatory side. They spent their whole life trying to keep spam away from their platform. So let's say you're from Google, you're from Yahoo, or even if you're on ESP on the regulatory side. So let's say you're from Google. You're getting emails in, and the users needs to use his platform every day. And when he opens up his Gmail, the emails he says that he sees needs to be relevant to him. Otherwise, if it's full of spam that's irrelevant for him, he would never use his inbox, and Gmail is going to lose money, and they're going to lose engagement, and they're going to lose all that. So Gmail is thinking like, okay, we have to give him the emails that he needs. So priority one is, of course, emails from your friends and family, or emails from business partners and things like that, right? Number two is your Target, your Amazon, your receipts, your transactional, your utilities, and things like that. And, and then there's a bunch of other emails too that comes in. Plus, 80% plus of all the emails on top of what even gets into your inbox gets rejected because they write out spam, they're phishing, the viruses in it, there's all kinds of stuff. So they have a really hard job. So what they are doing is they turn to say, okay, don't send emails that the user haven't asked for, right? Yeah. This is what they're saying. And same thing with the ESP side that says that unless it's double up then, and unless they specifically asked to receive the email, then you're not allowed to send it.
אני חושב שהייתה זו אמפי מיטשל שטבע את המושג אווירות, שאומר בעצם האם אימיילים מגיעים אל האינבוקס של הנמען. כדאי להבהיר למי שמקשיב שקיימת מחלוקת לגבי מהי האווירות ואיך מגדירים אותה. יש אנשים שמגיעים מהצד הרגולטורי או מהצד של ספקיות האימייל, העדיפות שלהם היא למנוע מהמערכות שלהם כמה שיותר ספאם, כדי שהחוויה של המשתמשים שלהם תהיה טובה. כולנו מכירים את מה שג'ימייל עשתה מבחינת חלוקת האינבוקס לטאבים. כשטובת הנמען, טובת הלקוח שלה, הלקוח של ג'ימייל, היא לקבל את האימיילים מאנשי קשר ומשפחה, עסקאות וכיוצא באלה קודם לכן, וכל השאר בטאב קידומי המחירות. כמובן שהאתגר הגדול שלהם, כמו של כל ספקית אימייל, הוא לסנן את התיבה מספם, מפישינג, מווירוסים וכולי. הסיטואציה הזאת גרמה גם למערכות דיוור וגם לספקיות אימייל להיות מאוד קשוחים במדיניות שלהם, שבמסגרתה הם אומרים, אל תשלחו אימיילים למי שלא ביקשו, מי שלא נרשמו מראש, מי שלא מבקשים לקבל את האימיילים שלכם.
Now, if you think about that, that is a really huge problem. Because what you're saying then is that I have a post box out there and you can't send me mail. I can only ask you to send mail and give you consent to send mail. Like, how is the world going to work like that? Like, you know, like how, like let's say that you are, let's say that you have a disease, right? Let's say you have psoriasis. And this new medical company has come up with a medicine that really, really works and is half the price of anything out there. Like, aren't they allowed to send you a letter to help you and say, hey, we have the solution for you, right? And they send it to your mailbox. It's like, according to these people, that's spam. That's spam, right? No, it's just, you know, telling people about your goods and services that might be helpful for people. And even in the business setting, you know, it's like, how do you reach your customers if you're not allowed to even send them a fax or a physical mail? And now you're not allowed to send them email either. It's like, okay, so email is only going to be like, you have to do demand generation then and have people coming to they can only send you something if you approve it or you specifically. No, the world just simply doesn't work like that. And some companies has good products and good services they want to serve to people, right? So when you go to the regulatory side, deliverability, people are going to say, did you double opt in? Did you ask for the emails? No, then you can't send it. No, you have to stop sending. Okay, so I'm going to shut down my business, right? That is where my job starts, right? That's when I come in and it's just like, okay, let's find a solution to this, okay? You need to tell the people about your services. It's a good, legit service. You're not spamming. You're having an unsubscribe. You're following all the can spam rules there is. You're not violating any rules by sending people an email and tell them about your services.
יש פה מצב אבסורדי, אומר אדריאן. תאר לך שתיבת הדואר הפיזית שלך חסומה, ואסור לאנשים לשלוח אליך מכתבים. למשל, אם יש להם אפשרות להציע לך תרופה מצילת חיים. האם אתה תמנע מהם את זה? זה בדיוק מה שעשו לאימייל. תאר לך שאתה לא יכול לפנות לעסקים באמצעים אלקטרוניים. כאן בדיוק מתחיל התפקיד שלי כיועץ אווירות. אני מנסה למצוא את הדרך הנכונה, לגרום ללקוחות שלי, שהם לא ספמרים, לשלוח אימייל למרות המגבלות, למרות שהצד הרגולטורי מאוד לא אוהב את מה שאני עושה. Do you think that email marketers can address deliverability issues on their own? And how can they know when it's time to better call Sela or Adrian?
Yeah, something called me first. No, it's just like, no. So
you're in A and I'm in S.
Yeah. So how I became, let's say in my world, a good email marketer is by paying attention to details. So how I really learned email marketing on my own, because look, I started doing this. I didn't even know there was an industry around this. You know, I just did this intuitively myself, just by testing. There wasn't any like deliverability channels, or I hadn't even heard that was a thing, you know, but I knew I started working myself out of the spam folder because I saw this back in the days and I had nobody to talk to. So I just figured out kind of like myself, like small little hacks I did. But what I started to do is that every email blast that I made an Excel sheet and I put all the metrics on one line. And the next metrics on one line, and I do that. And it forced me to look at every single number. You know, click-through rate, open to click, unsubscribes, bounces, opens, click, all of that by domain. I started to do that by domain, you know,
so
back in 2012. So I had full metrics on each, and I understood that there were different post offices. Like Gmail had a different rule than Yahoo, AOL, and Comcast, and then Microsoft had their domain, and they had different rules. So I quickly understood that there was different sort of worlds. So by doing all the details, you can see the pulse of your program. Like you get the baseline of where you're at with your email program, right? So, and then once there are changes, you know, you go in and you're just like, okay, what is going on here, right?
שאלתי את אדריאן, האם הוא חושב שאנשי שיווק מסוגלים לפתור בעיות אווירות בעצמם, ומתי הם יודעים שהגיע הזמן to better call סלע או אדריאן? אני חושב שמה שגרם לי להיות איש אימייל מרקטינג מוצלח הוא באמצעות שימת הלב לפרטים. עשיתי את זה בצורה אינטואיטיבית עוד ב-2012, ומה שעשיתי הוא שאחרי כל דיבור עקבתי באקסל חיצונית למערכת הדיבור אחרי כל המדדים. עשיתי את זה ברמת הדומיין, ככה גיליתי שיש הבדלים בין ספקיות האימייל השונות. המעקב הזה אפשר לי לבדוק את הדופק של תוכניות האימייל מרקטינג שניהלתי.
When you're starting to look at your email program, the first email that goes out to new users, so let's say the first welcome email, that's the one you should have a baseline check on every day, right? Because if your opt-in rate is the same as it's always been from your landing page, but the email that goes out is starting to have different open rates, then you know you're starting to have problems, right? And you start like, okay, my open rates on my first welcome email is declining. And why do I say the first email? Is because if they open a series of emails of you, they have trained their individual spam filters to deliver those to the inbox based on a single user's behavior, not the whole sphere. And what you're looking at is, am I being blocked on a whole surface level, your IP and your domain, or am I being blocked on an individual level? So the first welcome email is
some kind of a cold email.
Yeah. So the first email that they sign up to get, that's the baseline metrics you need to look at every day. And if there's fluctuations there, let's say that your open rates were like 30% on the welcome email and all of a sudden it's like 5%, you know something is wrong. So you need to isolate your metrics because your overall open rates are probably not even going to flinch by the welcome email going down, right? Because you probably have a cohort of openers that are very large. So typically the first thing I go in to a company and they're saying, well, our open rate's 30%, but you know, maybe we have some problems. I break everything out in stages. So all the different emails and the cadence and the cohorts they're going down to. And I look at the open rates and all the metrics and the click-through rates and all that. And you can say that, well, you know, open rates, this is junk because we have MPP now with Apple and yeah, you are comparing it to your own metrics, right? So you're comparing it to your own baseline. So that doesn't matter because the baseline is also affected by these things. So you have to look at, like, it's almost like taking your pulse every day. You know, my pulse is 58. Oh, my pulse now is 34. So now you know something is wrong, right? So you have to compare with your own pulse. So for deliverability, it is as easy as looking at everything every single day and break down all the metrics, because some people are just like, okay, well, our open rates just went down by 5%, and then I look at it and I say, well, none of your Microsoft domains are delivering that, you know, because those open rates are 1% and all the others are high. So they don't even know how to really spread out the different post offices per se. But if they do that, that's all they really need to do. You only need to look at your own metrics by this domain
breaking
groups.
them down.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. And it's just look at fluctuation in metrics, right? And typically, you know, we're looking at bounces, we're looking at unsubscribes, you know, we're looking at delivered, you know, that's another term that's misused by ESPs. It's like, we are 99% delivery or, you know, or delivered. It's like, yeah, that doesn't mean that you didn't go in the spam box. That means you got a 250 okay, meaning that they accepted your mail. That doesn't mean that it went to the user's inbox. That's not how you see that. So you know, so people can get easily confused. And I think if people just look at their own metrics, and they can probably find out what the domain groups are, and you split the metrics by that, and see if there are fluctuations. You know, and see if your segments are static. And everything is the same every day with transactional emails, let's say that's what you're doing, then you will be able to see any fluctuations. And out of those fluctuations, you have to start diving down and figuring out what's really going on.
כשאתה מנהל תוכנית אימייל מרקטינג, האימייל הראשוני, ה-Welcome email שיוצא ממערכת הדיבור, הוא האימייל הכי חשוב שצריך לעקוב אחריו. כי הוא בעצם מייצג את סינון האימייל ברמת המפעילים, ולא ברמת הסינון הפרסונלית שכל משתמש לימד את מסננות הספם. זה מאפשר לנו לראות אם אנחנו נחסמים ברמת המפעיל, או ה-IP או הדומיין. מה שמעניין אותנו לבדוק הוא להשוות את עצמנו לעצמנו, להסתכל על המדדים שלנו, על כל המדדים שלנו, ולבודד חסימה ברמת ספקית אימייל מסוימת. זו עוד הזדמנות להדגיש את ההבדלים בין delivery ל-deliverability.
But I think like as an email marketer, if you are staying conscious in your program and you're looking at the metric, you'll see it right away. You'll know something is off right away. And typically then for Gmail, the only thing that matters for Gmail, I think this is 90% delivery, is activity level from your users. So are your user engaging with your emails? Because Google makes money on engagement. That's their thing. I mean, they even have ads on your Gmail, so they're making money of it. So there's a calculation for them. So for them, even like for a few months ago, you could send emails that is not authenticated by SPF. Yeah, easily. And if you have a lot of activity, it will work. It only matters what people click and open and complaints. So typically Gmail has an easier content filter than, for example, Yahoo, that will just blatant out, like just filter you out. Gmail is mostly activity. So then you have to say, okay, if I'm crashing, am I sending emails that people want and that people click on? And if not, then there's a ratio game of how many clicks and open versus how many aren't touched. An interesting part is like a lot of people think that, oh, you're sending an email, so it goes into the inbox up like this, right? So so yours now is number 4, you know, and the others are
like a pile of emails.
Not with Gmail. No, it is dynamic. So, you know, they can put your I've seen, because what we did is that we put a bunch of screen readers up to see what the email was doing. And the email was delivered into the inbox and nobody really did any like activity with it or clicked or opened. So guess what? Within like 15 minutes, all of them went to spam at the same time, like boom. So we started experimenting with this, and we learned that Gmail would sort of seed a few of their users with your email blast to kind of see if it get engagement and kind of like nip it in. If it doesn't, there's no way that thing is going into the inbox. So what we found out is that, okay, let's game the system. So we put the most active segments first. So we'll do an email blast over like 2 hours, and we throttle it to give Gmail time to sort of, because if it's a wall of emails just coming like 1 million emails right away, it will hold it, right? And it will start to trick some of them down to see if they get activity. So what we did is that we started to do the most engaged segments first. So we know that, and the other one that we knew wasn't that engaged, that maybe hasn't engaged with our brand for like 6 months, we'll put that at the tail end of that 2-hour throttle. So what we found,
start to send with your most engaged, and and then Gmail will understand this stream is wanted.
Yes, it works.
Clever.
It works. So that's what came out of that. So
to juice the sand, as you called it once.
Yes. So we were able, by using like really extreme active segments right away, that we just like made an opening and just open the mailbox for the other mail.
אם אתה איש אימייל מרקטינג שעוקב אחרי המדדים בצורה עקבית, אתה תראה מיד שקורה משהו לא טוב. עבור ג'ימייל הדבר הכי חשוב הוא אינגייג'מנט של המשתמשים עם האימיילים. הם אפילו מציגים פרסומות בתוך ג'ימייל, כלומר מה שחשוב להם הוא המעורבות של הנמענים עם האימיילים. עד לאחרונה ג'ימייל אפילו הסכימה לקבל אימיילים שלא מאומתים כמו שצריך עם SPF. הסינון שלהם מתבסס בעיקר על המעורבות של האנשים והאינגייג'מנט שלהם עם האימיילים הללו. המחשבה שלנו שאם אימיילים מגיעים לתיבת האימייל לפי סדר השליחה, הוא מחשבה לא נכונה. ראינו בניסויים שעשינו שאימיילים נכנסו לתיבת האינבוקס, ואם אף אחד לא נגע בהם, כעבור זמן מה, בבת אחת, הם עברו אל הספם. מצאנו ככה שיטה לדבר עם ג'ימייל בשפה שהוא מבין, שהיא שפת האינגייג'מנט. אם נדבר לפי סדר האינגייג'מנט, מהגבוה לנמוך, ונפזר את הדיבור באמצעות טרוטלינג על פני שעתיים, ג'ימייל יראה בתחילת הדיבור מעורבות גבוהה של נימנים עם הדיבורים. זה יגרום לו להיות פחות בררני עם נימנים שהם באינגייג'מנט נמוך יותר. אם לא נעשה טרוטלינג ונשלח מיליון אימיילים בבת אחת, ג'ימייל יפזר חלק מהם, יטפטף כלפי מטה ויראה מה רמת המעורבות. אם לא תהיה מעורבות, הוא יחליט לחסום את הדיבורים.
I found out there's two different algorithms. There's algorithms for your email blast that goes out because that is considered as bulk email, right? And then you have another one, which is, I think is rolling 24 hours, which is the total amount of mail you're sending in 24 hours and the metrics on that. That kind of sets your IP score, domain reputation. It's by 24-hour rolling. But there's also another one, which is each individual email blast, because you can be in green if you do something wrong with the blast and there's no activity, it won't deliver it.
Yeah.
It will filter it out in spam. Yeah. But Gmail accept actually most messages, and I think it's just aggregate content. I just think it's that TensorFlow that's just, you know, like you will get easily rejection on Microsoft and Yahoo and things like that, but not so much for Gmail. It's just like, oh, send us everything you have. We'll just gobble it up as food.
יש שני סוגי אלגוריתמים שאני מזהה בג'ימייל. האחד מתייחס לדיבורים הגדולים, לבלאסט, שמדברים עושים, שמתעדכן ברמה יומית, ויש אלגוריתם נוסף שהוא אלגוריתם אישי יותר. באופן כללי, ג'ימייל מאוד סלחן, הוא יקבל כמעט כל מה שישלחו לו, לעומת יאו או מייקרוסופט, שדי בררניות ומסננות הרבה יותר אל הספאם.
When it comes to email, it's not very complicated, actually. It's fairly easy, the whole process. And I feel people like overly complicate emails, and they're forgetting the foundation of, okay, what is the email trying to do? Like, what are you actually trying to do? And I think like people should start sending without having that. Like, what do you want to achieve? You know, and I think like, what is a message to the list? And I feel, are you asking for a sale or are you asking for an engagement? And typically, very few people provide value. So, and then the next part is like how often you send. And you know, I always use a classic example. You know, when people are asking me like, how much is too much email? I was like, it depends what you send to who you send. And if I said that every time I send an email and you click it, I get $10. You really can't send enough emails, right? Yeah. That's just illustrate the whole example.
אני חושב שאימייל הוא מאוד פשוט, ואנשים אולי מסבכים אותו כי הם שוכחים מה התפקיד של אימייל. הם לא מבינים איך אימייל עובד. מעט מאוד משווקים חושבים על הערך שהם יכולים לתת לנימנים שלהם, ורק חושבים על מחירה. אנשים שואלים אותי למשל, כמה אימיילים לשלוח? כמה זה יותר מדי? באיזו תדירות לשלוח? כמובן שאין לזה תשובה אחת נכונה. אם נציע $10 לכל נמען שיפתח את האימייל שלנו, אולי אנשים ירצו שנשלח להם יותר. אז זה חוזר לשאלת הערך שהאימיילים שלך נותנים.
The algorithms are trying to find out what emails are important for the user and which one do they want to engage with. That's what the algorithms are trying to find, right? So there's way to gamify the algorithms, and there's ways to actually make sure that the user are opening your email. You know, and if not, if you don't do one of those two things, you'll go into spam because you're irrelevant. The user don't want to engage with it, and you haven't gamified it in such a way that the algorithm thinks that the user wants it. So either way, you're out. Yeah. If this process didn't work, I mean, email would have been broken. Nobody would have used email because all the spam would have gotten in there. And I think they did some calculations that I think it was SendGrid that said this, that 80% of all the emails that goes through their network are right out spam, virus, spoofing, phishing, all kinds of stuff. And we're not even talking about emails from Target or Comcast or Yahoo or any kind of transactional gray mail. We're talking right out malicious emails. So that's what the algorithms are fighting against. So, of course, you're going to get dragged into that somehow. But I think Gmail is probably, I feel, is the easiest one to crack. And the reason is because they go almost purely on user engagement. That is their overlord. The other algorithms have a lot more content filters in there than Gmail, in my opinion. Gmail will accept most things as long as they engage with the content.
האלגוריתמים של ספקיות האימייל מנסים לפצח אילו אימיילים חשובים לנמענים שלהם. אם הנמענים יהיו באינגייג'מנט מועט, תגיע אל הספאם. רוב תעבורת האימייל, צריך לזכור את זה, היא ספאם מקצועי שכולל פישינג, וירוסים וראשאות למיניהם. בזה ספקיות האימייל והאלגוריתמים מנסות להילחם. ג'ימייל יחסית קל וסלחן במה שהוא מוכן להעביר, כל עוד נמענים באינגייג'מנט עם התוכן הזה. ולעומתו, ספקיות אימייל אחרות הרבה יותר אגרסיביות מבחינת סינון התוכן שלהם.
So you have to think about how you communicate to your users. It's super important. It really is. So you have to do some little research and come up with some small little niche ideas and just present yourself correctly to the user and just give them what they want and then some sort of get engagement. If you can't do that, then you have to use bots or seeds or engagement in another vertical of users, so you can then find lists out there, subscribers of whatever, and then you know what those subscribers want, and you can provide them a daily little tidbits from that. There's a bunch of APIs out there that will give you a daily tip on whatever. Bunch of APIs, bunch of blogs. You can do XM feeds and whatever, and you can get a list, and then you can do that as a separate business, or not a business, just for engagement. So you'll have to pay for the sending costs and the list of users and give them daily value. But that is what the users want, right? Like, you're not thinking that you're going to make money on them. You're just thinking, I want their engagement so I can send sales email to my people, right? So there's different ways to do it. But either way, there's no around getting no engagement. That's it. Like, if you don't have engagement, you're not going to inbox. There are billions of dollars of AI being put in to making sure that you're getting emails that are being engaged with. I mean, they're super smart and they always change. You can't get around that. So the most safest thing to do is to find a cohort of users that wants daily content to open and click them. That they want, that provides value to them. You know, that's why coupons work really well, right? Like, people send daily coupons. Here's your daily coupons. Dude, that's perfect. I save $50 a day. Keep sending them, right? You know, and then, but the problem with coupon is people are overusing them and they're sending in too many offers and people get sour and blah, 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 right? So you get all that stuff. But if you can have like a white sort of hat operation, if you want to call it that, that is super clear on what you're giving to users and you're not spamming them, you're not putting ads in there or nothing like that, then what happens is that you use the same sending domain and the same IP as you used to do your sales emails. So then you can be more aggressive on getting inbox with your sales emails. So that's how I always think when I approach something. It's like thinking, okay, how can I get engagement? How can I give the users what they want? Because if you're saying, I want engagement and I want sales, on my terms, in my opinion, you're already lost, unless you're in a niche that everyone just want your product and will just hit the buy button anyway.
משמעות הדבר היא שהדרך שבה מדברים מתקשרים עם הנמענים שלהם מאוד חשובה. אנחנו חייבים לייצר אינגייג'מנט מול הנמענים ולתת להם את מה שהם רוצים ואוהבים. זה יכול להיות דרך אינגייג'מנט מלאכותי או באמצעות מתן ערך, כגון טיפים ותוכן שיעניינו אותם. יש הרבה שירותים חיצוניים שמספקים טיפים יומיים ותוכן רלוונטי שניתן לשלוח. זה יספק לנמענים עניין וייצור אינגייג'מנט בין הבלסטים של מחירות. בלי אינגייג'מנט לא תגיעו אל האינבוקס. צריך לתת לנמענים את מה שהם רוצים. כלומר, יש יתרון בשילוב של תוכן יחד עם ערך לנמענים מדיבורים שבאים מאותן כתובות IP ואותו דומיין שמשמשים את הפעילות המחירתית.
The game is changing for emails. It's becoming harder and harder. I mean, you and I know that.
Yeah.
You need to start investing in deliverability now. And a part of that investment is to build a list that is engaging. Either your users in your business vertical or another vertical where people want content. Because information is what people consume. Information is what most consume. That is the easiest way to do. But people need to shift from, okay, how do I shift the cadence of the users and sales and product display and all that? Like you're really working uphill there, right? It'll be a lot easier if you shift your thinking and saying, okay, how can I get a bunch of users that want a certain type of content? It just opens up the whole world. I mean, where are you going to stop with that? There's just so much content that people want and they need, and you can put some money into creating an infrastructure for that, having content feeds, and just start sending them what they want to have. That really helps them. You know, here's a daily mindfulness technique. You know, you know that they can be anything. And a lot of users are like, you know, here's your daily crime report. You know, you can get the crime report from policeactivity.com or whatever, and you can just pump in the API. And for those people who are super scared, you know, they will get there. Here's what happened in your neighborhood today, right? Like, here's the daily content. You're like, who wouldn't want that, right?
כללי המשחק משתנים והופכים להיות קשים יותר, אומר לי אדריאן. אני ואתה יודעים את זה. משווקים צריכים להשקיע באווירות עכשיו. וחלק מההשקעה הזאת היא ליצור רשימה שתהיה באינגייג'מנט גבוה. המחשבה של משווקים צריכה להשתנות, ממחשבה לשיפור תהליך המחירה, לשיפור רמת האינגייג'מנט. האינגייג'מנט שיגיע כתוצאה מההשקעה בשיפור האווירות, ישלם דיבידנדים בשלב המחירה. שאלתי את אדריאן מה דעתו על הקונספט של אווירות כהשקעה. איך משכנעים ארגון להשקיע באווירות? Deliverability is investment.
That's exactly what it is. You need to, the dollars needs to change. You need to spend more money now on email to inbox than you ever had to do before, just because you need to invest in deliverability consulting. You need to have things right. You need to talk to someone who knows what they're doing. And you need to also invest in your email program in such a way that it actually inboxes, depending on your business model and where you're at. And I think we had a talk at Email Innovation Summit, and the main deliverability guy at Oracle was on a panel. And he basically told me, it's coming, guys. Like, if you're running an email program, you need to have deliverability consulting on your side. It's just that it's going to get very, very, very hard to inbox. The reason is because the amount of emails is exploding, and the battle for the inbox is exploding. And you need smart guys in order to, and right now it's just not about, it used to be back in the days where you can send billions of emails for free, and just whatever, inbox. I mean, those days are gone. They are gone. It's very sophisticated now, and you have to calculate for your business a lot more investment in deliverability for email program. Not talking about creating the content and all the other stuff you need to do, but you actually need to allocate a budget to deliverability for sure. I mean, there's no way around it, because what's going to happen is that you're going to waste time setting things up right from the beginning, and then you're gonna frustrate yourself about your email marketing manager. You're gonna frustrate yourself. He's not doing things right. They're gonna blame this. They're gonna blame that, and then you're gonna spam blah blah blah, and then they're gonna contact deliverability consulting, right? And the deliverability consulting goes in. It's just like, wow, you could have saved 8 months if you contacted me before, you know. And you spent all this money paying employees and not getting any proper sales. Do it right from the beginning. Yeah.
זה בדיוק מה שזה אומר לי אדריאן. ההסתכלות על ההשקעה צריכה להשתנות. צריך להשקיע היום הרבה יותר מבעבר כדי להגיע אל האינבוקס, בגלל שאתה צריך להשקיע ביועץ אווירות ולעשות את הדברים הנכונים. אתה צריך לדבר עם אנשים שיודעים מה שהם עושים, וצריך להשקיע בתוכנית האימייל מרקטינג שלך, בהתאם למודל העסקי שלך והרמה שלך כדי להגיע אל האינבוקס. הייתה לנו שיחה באימייל אינוביישן סאמיט, אומר לי אדריאן, במסגרתה מנהל האווירות הראשי של אורקל שהיה בפאנל בעצם אמר, חברים, הנה זה מגיע. אתם מפעילים תוכנית אימייל מרקטינג, זה אומר שאתם חייבים יועץ אווירות לצדכם. זה הולך להיות הרבה יותר קשה להגיע אל האינבוקס. הסיבה לכך היא שכמות האימיילים פשוט מתפוצצת, והקרב על האינבוקס הולך ונהיה קשה. אתה צריך לצדך אנשים חכמים שמבינים באווירות שיוכלו לעזור לך לטפל במצב. זה לא כמו פעם שאפשר היה לשלוח מיליארדי אימיילים בחינם, ומה ששלחת פשוט נכנס אל האינבוקס. הימים האלה חלפו, הם נעלמו. זה מאוד מתוחכם עכשיו. אתה צריך לתכנן עבור העסק שלך הרבה יותר השקעה באווירות אימיילים, לא כל מה שקשור ביצירת התוכן וכל שאר הדברים שמנהל קמפיין צריך לעשות. למעשה, אתה צריך להקצות תקציב לנושא האווירות. אין דרך לעקוף את זה. כי מה שהולך לקרות זה שתבזבז הרבה זמן, אתה הולך להיות מתוסכל מזה שאנשים לא עשו את הדברים כמו שצריך, אחד יאשים את השני, האימיילים בינתיים יגיעו אל הספם. רק אז הם יפנו ליועץ אווירות, וכשיועץ אווירות ייכנס הוא יגיד לך, וואו, יכולת לחסוך 8 חודשים, אם היית מדבר איתי מוקדם יותר. השקלת את כל הכסף הזה בתשלום לעובדים, לא קיבלת שום מחירות, תעשו את זה נכון מההתחלה.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, because the industry is shifting, and I think that, you know, I mean, we've been doing this for a while, and I remember, like, especially like it was 3-4 years ago when people contacted me. I was like, spam, is that a thing? You know, is people specialize in that? Like getting into the inbox? It's like, you know, and I gotta tell you, man, there's not many of us, because most of the ones are on the regulatory side. So when you go on LinkedIn and you follow the consulting there, they're regulatory side. They're going to tell you, it can't be done. You know, it's like going to like a business lawyer and says, I want to set up a company and I want to get a loan. So it can't be done. You need this and this much asset. You made an expert to say, oh, no, there's a company that will let you borrow a deposit and you put it in. You can use that as a leverage to get a loan and you pay back. There's so many ways to skin a cat, right? So you're in our game. It's like, okay, how do we hack the system? You know, that doesn't mean you're a spammer. That doesn't mean you do something illegal. It just means that the way you think is about deliverability, and how you design your email program is around deliverability, not sales. Right. So it's just a shift of thinking, and it takes experience, because you want to have to like work with a lot of different programs and try different things. And this is not in any books, and it changes weekly, you know, and you have to have a network of people to talk to. What do you do? What do I do? La, la, la. We have to use bots to see where the email lands, and we have to do all kinds of stuff. And people on the regulatory side will not do that. Yeah. They will just tell you it's not going to work. You know, it's just like you're sending emails to people that want, I can't help you. And I can't people. Yeah, you're spamming people, right? That's their thing. So I feel like you have to be cautious of who you find, and making sure, ask them what they've done before. If they work for an ESP or regulatory side or anything like that, don't waste your money, man.
התעשייה משתנה, אתה יודע, אנחנו עושים את זה כבר זמן מה. מה שזכור לי במיוחד היה שלפני 3 או 4 שנים, כשאנשים יצרו איתי קשר, הם היו מתייחסים אל ספאם כמשהו שלא קיים. האם זו בכלל התמחות להיכנס לתיבת הדואר הנכנס? אני חייב להגיד לך, אני ואתה, יועצי אווירות, אנחנו לא רבים. רוב היועצים נמצאים בצד הרגולטורי. אז כשאתה נכנס ללינקדאין ועוקב אחרי יועצים שמה, הם בצד הרגולטורי. הם יגידו לך שאי אפשר לעשות את זה. זה כמו ללכת לעורך דין עסקי ולומר לו, אני רוצה להקים חברה ורוצה לקבל הלוואה, והוא יגיד לך, אי אפשר. הייחוד שלי ושלך הוא שאנחנו עוזרים לעסקים לפצח את השיטה. זה לא אומר שאנחנו עוזרים לספמרים. זה לא אומר שהם עושים משהו לא חוקי. זה אומר שהדרך שבה אתה חושב היא במשקפיים של יועץ אווירות, ואיך אתה מעצב את תוכניות האימייל מרקטינג שלך סביב נושא האווירות, לא סביב נושא המחירות. זה לא רק שינוי של חשיבה, זה דורש ניסיון, כי תצטרך לעבוד עם כלים שונים ולנסות דברים שונים, וזה ידע שלא קיים באף ספר, זה משתנה על בסיס שבועי. צריך שתהיה לך רשת של אנשים, יועצי אווירות, לדבר איתם. אנחנו צריכים להשתמש בכלים כמו בוטים כדי לראות לאן מגיע אימייל, ואנחנו צריכים לעשות כל מיני דברים. אנשים בצד הרגולטורי לא יעשו את זה, הם פשוט יגידו לך, אל תעשה את זה, זה לא יעבוד. העצה שלי הוא להיזהר עם מי שאתה מתייעץ איתו, לוודא שאתה שואל אנשים מה הניסיון שלהם. אם הם עבדו עבור מערכת דיוור או בצד הרגולטורי, זה בזבוז כסף.
They probably don't have, and they speak because they have a title and they market their company. They don't speak because they work with hundreds of clients and actually be in the trenches to solve their problems. They haven't seen them in use scenario, and they say affiliate mailing is spam. So you won't get anywhere there, you know. And you can see it if they're talking about, oh, don't use rented list, then you know, don't use them. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with rented list in my opinion, or cold list if you want. If you know what the list is about and you give them value and they want it and they open and click it, I don't see anything wrong with it. As long spamming to me is like, if you get a list and you just pound it with messages that's completely irrelevant to them, you keep sending and sending and sending, as long as you get through the inbox, you burn IPs, you burn domain, and you move from one infrastructure to another, and you're spinning content and do all that is spamming, man. But if your people want your email, I don't see anything wrong with it.
האנשים האלה לא היו בשוחות, הם לא עבדו עם מאות לקוחות בתרחישים שונים. ספאם לדעתי הוא לדבר תוכן שלא מעניין, ולהתנהג כמו ספאמר, תוך כדי החלפת דומיינים ותשתיות דיוור. אם אתה משתמש ברשימה קנויה ואנשים אוהבים את הדיבורים שלך, לדעתי, אומר לי אדריאן, זה לא ספאם.
I have a so-called rented list now, and I get 30% open rate and I have like 4% click-through rate on that, and the users love it. And then once all those are engaged, keep engaging at 70% open rate. That's a cold list because I know what that list wants, and I'm giving them what they want. Of course, they can opt out, and I won't send to them again. Better engagement with some people have an opt-in funnel.
Yeah.
But you can't just say all cold emailing is bad. I have a list. They haven't heard from me before, but I know exactly what the list wants, and I'm giving them what they want, and the metrics is telling me that they want it. And I'm inboxing because Google says, yeah, of course, they're engaging with your email. This is crazy, right? So what's bad with that?
Yeah.
I don't get it. So you just can't say like cutthroat, black and white, rented list, cold email is bad, and everything else is good, right? For example, if someone opts in and you send them junk, what is that? That's spam. They opted in, so I can send to them whatever I want, and that's not a cold list, and blah, blah, blah. No, you're going to go to spam, man.
אני עובד עכשיו עם רשימה שהיא סוג של רשימה קרה, ואני מקבל אחוזי אינגייג'מנט שהרבה מדברים עם רשימות שנבנו, מאנשים שנרשמו לדיבורים היו רק חולמים לקבל. אני יודע מה הרשימה רוצה לקבל, ואני נותן לה ערך. אז זה לא שחור ולבן. כמו שקבלת הסכמה אינה הרשאה להספמה.
So I think like for you and me, our job is to help clients. And if someone comes to me and say, oh, they just want to spam, of course I'm not going to help them.
Yeah.
But if they have a legit business and they have value to provide, I will help them. No, I'll find a lot of ways for them to inbox.
Yeah.
So, and I think that our job is mostly to be creative. And it's not really any black hat, any like kind of like foo-foo stuff we do in the background, because all those are short-term businesses that won't survive long-term. Yeah, there's a lot of ways for you to inbox. I know a lot of ways you can get around the spam folders and inbox, but they're temporary.
Yeah.
And if you want a sustainable business, let's talk. Let's find out how we can design a solid business that have solid engagement for the next 10 years, and let's set it up right. So you can have a predictable income stream through email and rock solid. An email to me is probably one of the most sustainable long-term revenue generator for a company of anything out there. It's very, very predictable if you do it right. And I think like a lot of people who are out of business, typically their email lists keep performing. They just do. Yeah. The ads might be out. They might be, but the email, you are not on the mercy of spam algorithms. I mean, like ad algorithms, competition there, or prices you have to pay that keep fluctuating depending on how many people want to run ads. If you have an email, you own the relationship with every customer, and once you own that relationship, you're in business for a long term. As long as you provide them value, as long as they get used to hear from you, I think that's what we do. It's like we come up with ways to get engagement, both artificially and of course to get the ball rolling. And then once it's rolled, we have to find out how to scale that in a real way. But I think most businesses are looking at it the completely wrong way. And when they contact us, we're like, okay. Like, and you have to have the talk with them, but yeah, no, I think we're in a very unique niche, and I think like most people should find they're hard to find deliverability consulting that really knows what they're doing. Most of them, as soon as you hear stuff like, oh, we'll handle the all authentication, DKIM, SPF, DMARC, and I was just like, that'll be done for you anyway. What do you need? An SMTP relay service will do it for you. The ESP will do it for you. You can tell by the way they talk that they're not going to provide a lot of value, right? You have to look for someone who have worked with a lot of different clients in a lot of different settings. Otherwise, you're going to fail. You're going to waste your time.
התפקיד שלי ושלך הוא לעזור ללקוחות. אני לא אעזור לספמרים, אבל אם אני מזהה עסק שאני יכול לעזור לו, אני אמצא עבורו פתרונות ארוכי טווח שישפרו את העבירות שלו. רשימת דיבור של לקוחות שיפעלו נכון בתחזוקה של רשימת הדיבור שלהם, יקבלו תוצאות עסקיות הרבה יותר טובות מרשימת הדיבור מכל מדיה אחרת, מה שמצדיק את ההשקעה בעבירות לטווח ארוך. אני לא מחפש פתרונות קצרי טווח עבור הלקוחות שלי, ואני יודע שהם יצליחו כל עוד הם מבקשים לתת ערך למנויים שלהם. יועצי אווירות, כמוני וכמוך, נמצאים בנישה ייחודית שכוללת לא רק את הצד הטכני והטכנולוגי של אימות המערכות המדברות, כי בזה לא מסתיים התפקיד שלנו. אנחנו מסייעים ללקוחות בפתרונות אסטרטגיים, שישפרו את האינגייג'מנט ואת האווירות שלהם, ואת זה יודע לעשות רק יועץ שיש לו ניסיון עם הרבה סוגי לקוחות בוורטיקלים שונים.
It's extremely hard to be consultant. It's because it's like we need to be up on speed on everything that goes on there. And I think like once you stop being a consultant, you work for a company, your knowledge degrades really fast because you're looking at one email program, one vision and stuff like that. And you and I, we see so many things from so many different clients. Plus we have a network of a consultant that shares and kind of help each other because the industry is so big anyway. So, yeah. I mean, everyone does email. So we kind of have a kind of a network that kind of help each other. And I think like, it's fun, man. It's, when we have wins, it's just like, wow, it's like, look at all that revenue all of a sudden, you know?
זה מאוד קשה להיות יועץ אווירות בימים אלה. אנחנו חייבים להיות כל הזמן מעודכנים במה שקורה. מי שיועץ ועובר לעבוד בחברה, הוא מכיר רק את מה שקורה בתוכנית האימייל שהוא מטפל בה. אנחנו לעומת זאת עוסקים בסוגי לקוחות שונים, עם מערכות שונות, ונמצאים בחזית עם מה שקורה. יש לנו רשת של יועצים, חברים, שאנחנו יכולים להתייעץ איתם כל הזמן.
So yeah, but I think it's like, but in general, I think people need to start with the basics. They need to take a step back and they need to look at their email system as a notification system rather than a medium where you are communicating full messages to the users. Right? So first of all, if you have long emails, most people on the mobile are going to sit there and read, right? And then you don't have any control of the formatting because some people use mail, some people use Gmail, some people use native readers, some people use all kinds of stuff, right? So then you can't control the look and feel of it either. So you wanted to think of email more like a text message where you are just giving them an appetizer yeah. And that is to getting them to click. And when they go to the landing page, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can retarget them. You can put cookies there. You can do multivariate testing. You can control the formatting, exactly how it looks like, the time on sites and scrolling and all that kind of good kind of metrics. But emails, I find, is most successful when it stimulates a click. And that's all it should do. You know, if you're going down with fancy emails and stuff like that, I doubt the effectiveness of that. And I've yet to prove out that that is a better way. There might be in certain use cases, there's always exception to the rule. But using emails as a notification system will train the users that when they open your emails, it's a short time. It's not going to take them a long time, and they're going to get just enough that they're going to get their cookie, right? They're going to get the sweetener, and they're going to get habitually addicted to the sweetener.
אני חושב שאנשים מדברים צריכים לחזור אל הבסיס, לקחת צעד אחורה ולהסתכל אל מערך הדיבור שלהם כאל מערך נוטיפיקציות. אני חושב שאימיילים מעוצבים, ארוכים, גורמים לבלבול, בעיקר אצל המשתמשים במובייל. שם קשה לייצר חוויה אחידה. יש יתרון לדעתי בכך שמשתמשים באימייל כמו ב-SMS, כסוג של טעימה מהמנה הראשונה, שמפתה את הנמען להקליק כדי לקבל את המנה העיקרית באתר. באתר עצמו אפשר להמיר אותם הכי טוב ולהציג להם את מה שהם רוצים.
And you don't have to think about email, but you have to think about the whole ecosystem of your company and how the user moves through there, and the email is supposed to support that messaging. You know, and I think that is the one thing is omnipresence is more important than ever now, where you basically are, because people are so distracted that they need to be nudged in all directions because they're to get their attention because their mind is just withered all over the place. So it's interesting because email is this dinosaur that hasn't evolved and we are just trying to figure out what email is.
אימייל הוא סוג של דינוזאור שאנחנו עדיין מנסים להבין מהו, מה התפקיד שלו בתמהיל הערוצים ואיך משתמשים בו בצורה מיטבית. וכמובן, עם כל אתגרי תשומת הלב, חייבים להתייחס גם לשילוב של אימייל בתמהיל הערוצים. אמרתי לאדריאן שעד עכשיו דיברנו על ג'ימייל ויאהו ואוטלוק, הדומיינים הגדולים של ספקיות האימייל הגדולות, וביקשתי ממנו לדבר על אתגרי דיבור ב-B2B.
When it comes to B2B, messaging is extremely important. Extremely important. And there you have a lot of data points. So I just want to add that the marketing part of B2B is the magic here. And most people out there are not being custom enough or direct enough to the users. They're not too personal. They're generic and they're being completely ignored. So what I found with B2B mailing is, by the way, B2B mailing, I will say I had the most success with. I think that's the easiest. So, but I think like for the B2B, I found out there are different type of reputation calculations going on. One, there's reputation on the domain and IP you're sending from. And two, there's a reputation on each individual mailbox going out. So if I had Adrian at emailangels.com and you had Sela at emailangels.com, those two will have different reps, in my opinion. I've seen that. So one of them can get shot and just be blocked, and others. And I don't know like how that works, but it does. I have evidence of that. So what I have to do typically is that I have to make sure that the engagement ratio goes per. So for B2B, I will not calculate engagement ratio on domain and IP only. I will also have a sheet that has per mailbox going out. So Adrian at Email Angels will have its own reputation ratio, and Sela will have its own reputation ratio. I will manage each and individual mailbox separately instead of the whole domain and IP by itself. Now, it shouldn't really work that way, but it does. It does. Yeah, it really makes a huge difference. And so then, like, I did a lot of split testing on it. And but I think like for B2B, it needs to be extremely personal, and it needs to mimic a personal letter from one person to another, like an email, like, hey, I shot you this email. So for example, if I send you a message, hey Sela, thanks for our call and I'm wondering if you can follow up with this and this and that, right? Then you will respond and you will read it, right? So you need to have that level of social engineering. Yeah. I know a lot of people are being a little cheesy with this. You know, they said like, okay, so they get everyone who was an event, right? And they will like send, oh, I missed you at the event, right? And I saw you there. I was supposed to have a coffee together, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I see what they're trying to do, but like, I think most of us are smart enough to see that one. Yeah. but you know, and also if they overly stroke your ego, I think B2B is really, really cool because you have to be super clever on how to attract the audience. Yeah. And I think that is a real marketing problem. And again, you have to give them something. Yeah. You're sending out an email. Do you want to solve this problem in 5 minutes using our software for free? Like click here and we'll show it to you, right? Like something like that. Like extremely usable if you know what problems they have and if you know exactly what they're struggling with and you have a solution to that. Yeah. Like B2B is extremely effective because you can go in there and you can find what audience, what positions they have and what problems they're struggling with. And you can target exactly that. You can have their SMS, you can have their email, and you can have their physical address, and you can just start communicating to them and basically say, dude, I have a solution to your problems. This will save you $100K if you use this. I mean, who would say no? Right? Yeah. Just like they will say no, one, if they think it is a spam. So you have to think about how you message and how you talk. Is it legit or not? And what is my cost of trying this? Right? So they're going to be in a certain mindset. So you need to just get into their inbox, number one, and then get their attention with with your from name, your avatar, and your subject line. And it does not need to look like spam because if it does, of course, they're not going to open. This is marketing. So it shouldn't look like a marketing message. And once they open it, they should believe what you're saying. So you should describe their problem and then give their solution. You know, what I find interesting in marketing, if you can describe the problem better than they can, they automatically think you have the solution. Yeah, amazing. This is a weird thing. And then you communicate to them, and then you click here, and there's an easy way for you to prove the concept, and now you have their ear, right? When I look at B2B marketing out there, man, I'm just laughing. I'm just like, people are so dumb, the marketers out there. They do the lowest level of research in order to figure out how to get sales. No, really. Which is good for us. It's good for you and me, right? Because we do more groundwork and we do more research. And like I said, the battle is fought before Battle is won before it's fought. You have to do a lot of research about your users, branding, and knowing how they think, their objections, what the problems are. You really need to dig deep into the user profile, which people don't really need, because we're just going to send them emails. Somehow it's just going to work. Just send them a bunch of emails. Yeah, let's tell them about our products. Okay, so you are giving them the responsibility to figure out why they should use your product. Right? Like no, you need to revert that. You need to tell them the problem they have in their mind, like you're reading their mind, and then give them the solution. Don't let the users do that, because your engagement is going to be very low, because they don't have time to figure out if your product will solve their solutions or not, right? Or solve their problems, I mean.
ב-B2B הדבר הכי חשוב לדעתי הוא המסר. חשוב להבין שיש פה שתי רמות של reputation. לא רק ברמת הדומיין, אלא גם ברמת תיבת האימייל הספציפית מתחת לדומיין. חשוב להתייחס למדדים כמו כתובת ה-IP ודומיין, אבל גם למדוד את האינגייג'מנט שמקבלת תיבת אימייל ספציפית בתוך הדומיין. לגבי המסר, רמת הפרסונליות שצריך להגיע אליה בדיבור אל בעלי תפקידים צריכה להיות תפורה היטב. רוב האוטריץ' שאנחנו רואים הוא צפוי, הוא משעמם, הוא לא מתאמץ מספיק לעשות את ה-social engagement, ולכן הוא גם לא אפקטיבי. בסופו של דבר זה שיווק. אם אנחנו יודעים לתאר ללקוח את הבעיה שאנחנו נפתור עבורו, הלקוח מבין שיש לנו את היכולת לפתור את הבעיה. רמת המחקר שצריך לעשות על קהל המטרה, הבעיות והאתגרים שלו היא מאוד עמוקה. כל מי שחושב שאפשר רק לכתוב קופי ולהצליח בלי עבודת המחקר הזו, חי באשליות. לקראת סיום רציתי לבקש אותך לתת טיפ בנושא עבירות שיכול לעבוד בשביל כולם.
I talk about this a lot, but back in the days I coined the term gold rush campaigns. And the reason is because I worked with a startup that had an app. And they were getting into spam folder because people who opted in on the app use dummy emails a lot because of the nature of the app. And these so we had like 20% bounces. So all our emails went to spam, you know, and I basically told them, it's like, guys, like this app was sending you like, oh, buy more gold virtual currency so you can buy things within the app and stuff like that. So this is, guys, well, let's make an email campaign where this is a part of investing in your deliverability. So basically say like, why don't you give away, like, let's make a 2-week campaign, and it says for every time they get an email and they click it, they get like 100 gold. And at the end, if they complete the 2 weeks everyday email, they get 1,000 gold. So we can't just give away, we're losing money. We just can't do that. And it's like, try it, okay? Guess what? After 2 weeks, RF went up, all the sales email went into inbox, and they 3x their income. Amazing. Or their revenues for after that is because they invested in their deliverability, and it came back to them by inboxing some more eyeballs on their offers, meaning that they, you know, so I think like the deliverability, like you have to give to your audience. You have to give them a reason to open. It cannot be on your terms. It's like every time I contact you is about me. No, the only thing that matters in your world is you. So I got to figure out like, how can I give you something that makes you want to open my emails? Right. So you, as a business, you have to think about that. Like you have to give value, and that is the investment you need to make. Okay. You need to spend money, time, and effort into giving the users what they want, so you can have high engagement on the email program, so your campaign blasts are getting through. That is where I would have invested. And you don't need a deliverability consulting for that. Like you just need to be a good marketer and want to have a message that people want to receive. That's all.
עבדתי בזמנו עם סטארט-אפ שהמשתמשים שלו נרשמו לאפליקציה עם כתובות אימייל זמניות, מה שגרם ל-20% באונס רייט, וכתוצאה מכך לבעיות עבירות. הצעתי להם לעשות קמפיין שמתמרץ כספית אנשים שפתחו והקליקו על אימיילים למשך שבועיים. כעבור שבועיים, הרפיוטיישן של הדומיין שלהם עלה, וכתוצאה מכך, האימיילים הגיעו אל הלקוחות ולא אל הספאם. לא צריך יועץ עבירות כדי לעשות דברים כאלה. זה חוזר לעניין של מה שמשווקים ועסקים יכולים לתת לנימנים שלהם. לחשוב לקוח ולא לחשוב על עצמנו.
CRM.Buzz.
מעולה. תודה רבה אדריאן. הייתה שיחה מאוד מעניינת, ואני רוצה מאוד להודות לך שהיית אורח בפודקאסט שלי.
You're welcome.
אתם מוזמנים להירשם לבלוג שלנו, הקישו CRM.Buzz בדפדפן שלכם.
הפודקאסט בחסות דאטה מדיה, המלווה ומייעצת לחברות בארץ ובחול בפעילות אימייל מרקטינג אפקטיבית ועבירות אימיילים, אימייל דליברביליטי.